Good morning and welcome back to our daily Bible study. Today we are continuing looking at the parables of Jesus. We're looking at parables in St. Luke's Gospel at the moment, and this is Luke chapter 12, verses 13 to 21, and it's entitled The Rich Fool. I'll turn you around so you can see my translation of the text. Somebody in the crowd asked Jesus, "Teacher, please tell my brother he's got to share our father's inheritance with me." But Jesus said, "Sir, who appointed me your judge or arbitrator?" Then he said to everyone present, "Beware, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Human life doesn't just amount to how many possessions people accumulate." Then he told them a parable. This rich man's land was very fertile, so he was thinking, "Now, what am I going to do? I haven't got storage for all these crops." And he said, "Right, I will demolish my barns and build bigger ones. That's where I'll store all my grain and my nice things. And I will congratulate myself. I'll say, 'You've got enough stored away for many years. Now put your feet up, eat, drink, and be merry.' But God said to him, 'Foolish man, this very night you will have to give up your life. Then who will own all these things you've saved?' That's what people are like, who pile up treasure for themselves, but in God's eyes are not rich at all." In the days of Jesus, rabbis were routinely asked to give an opinion on legal matters. And here was a handy rabbi, Jesus, who would be presumed to have some knowledge of the ancient laws. The problem with the prevailing culture was that the majority of scholars assumed that law and morality were the same thing. And Jesus had to keep pointing out to the scribes and the Pharisees how immoral their interpretations of the law often were. Jesus turned down his questioner's request to arbitrate in this family dispute about an inheritance. And Luke backs this up with a parable about greed. Do the two belong together? Let's think about it. What law does is to put restraints on us all, so that despite our wayward nature, we become law-abiding citizens. This doesn't make us good, just resentfully law-abiding. If, on the other hand, we know and believe the gospel, we take on a new and better nature as we thankfully accept the love and forgiveness of God, and energized by that love, begin to behave naturally in a more loving and forgiving way ourselves. Jesus turns down the request of his questioner because he sees that greed lies at the back of his plea, either his greed or his brother's. Without the greed, without the desire for possessions and an easier life, there would be no dispute. What should we conclude from this parable? Jesus makes the very valid point that you can't take your riches with you when you die. The idea that you could had accompanied many a pharaoh or many a mighty conqueror to their pyramid or their mausoleum. Jesus denies it. "Foolish man, this very night you will have to give up your life. Then who will own all these things you've saved?" So, say you have acquired a decent amount of wealth in this life by your own efforts or by the work of others. What should you do with it? The bottom line is that it doesn't actually belong to you. It belongs to the world and ultimately to God. So, hoarding it and living richly off it is a kind of theft. But sharing it and putting it to work for the good of others, now that is a good idea. Tomorrow, Luke brings us a parable about a banquet, which brings with it a lesson about how to be the kind of person who gets invited to such an occasion. And I'll see you then.